What's up, everybody? It's Parallax Abstraction, and this is Retro Flashback, showcasing gaming's roots for a new generation. So, I recently brought home a big haul of Commodore 64 hardware that was sitting in a closet at my mom's place. I've got another video project in the works for that. But I started reminiscing about some of my favorite C64 games as a result, as you know you do. And I wanted to do a video on an older C64 title, and definitely one of the more simplistic from a technical perspective, but one that I absolutely adored. So today we are taking a look at Space Taxi. This was developed by a single person named John F. Kuchar, and it was put out by Muse Software, which is a long-defunct but very highly revered developer of games for systems like the C64. They put out some very interesting titles in the 80s, and this was definitely among them. This is a game that, from a conceptual level, is very simple, but can get incredibly challenging, and has a surprising amount of content in it for a game that seems simple on its face. So this is just the demo mode that we're looking at here, but you're getting a little bit of the idea. So this game has no story to speak of, but I like to think that this is some horrible fever dream taking place in someone's head where they have to shuttle people, teleporting people around forever in this perpetual hell of an environment that they're in. It's not a well-formed thought. What can I say? Trying to project stories on games that don't need them. You know how it goes. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward here. So you can pick a number of cabbies that you want, which is really just a score challenge thing for multiple players. Now you've got difficulty levels here. So these are different sets of levels, actually. And the levels in this game get downright friggin' devilish. They just get insane. So we're going to start on the morning shift here, which is the beginner level, which I could barely get through on the best of times, to be honest with you. So it gives you just a very easy start up here. So your goal in this is very simple. People, for some reason, in these horrible levels that don't resemble reality whatsoever, randomly appear. Well, actually, they don't randomly appear. It's sequential, but they appear on different platforms, and your goal is to maneuver your taxi down here, put out your landing gear, land, grab them, and take them where they want to go as quickly as possible. Now, this starter level is you just pick up one guy and then you leave, but in later levels, you have to shuttle people around a little bit first, so I'm going to show you that here. So there you go. One of the cool things about this game is this was a very early game to feature sampled voice stuff, which sounds downright, well, it sounds kind of horrible by modern standards, but this was a mind-blowing thing at the time. I did a video a long time ago on Ghostbusters, which was another title that utilized that to an impressive degree. So as you see here, your taxi has a little bit of weird inertia. You've got four-way thrusters, and what you want to do is the only thing the fire button does is extend your landing gear. So you want to get to the platform as quickly as possible, but because you sort of have inertia here, you've got to be careful. You want to move quick, but if you move too quick, you can screw your momentum up, and you'll die if you collide with things, or if you collide with your potential fares, or if you don't put your landing gear down, or anything like that. And when your landing gear is down, you maintain the ability to ascend and descend, but you lose the ability to move sideways. So you have to be really careful when you do that. You want to move quick, but moving too quick in this game can mean certain death very quickly. So you're sort of getting the basic idea here. And the way you're scored is by fare. So you see on the left, or sorry, on the right side there, they have a fare that's ticking down. I don't know any taxi service in the world where the longer you take, the worse the fare gets, but man, I don't think there'd be any need for Uber if that was the case. So this is why you want to move as quickly as possible. So you do that, and you see on the left side there is your sort of cumulative total. And this is a score attack game. You are ultimately trying to get a high score while also completing all the levels. So that's kind of the core idea here. So I used to be really good at this game. I'm definitely lost some of my touch because I haven't played it in a lot of years, but I used to be able to blow through these here. Now, I honestly can't remember. I said earlier in the video that the pattern in which the fares appear and where they ask to be taken is sequential and therefore set in stone. I may be wrong about that. I thought it was, but it may actually be random because this run here seems different from the last one I did. Also, am I the only one who thinks that some of these people are just really lazy? Yeah, that was a different sequence than last time I played. So yes, it is random, so I'll correct myself on that one. So you'll see that I also had a fuel meter in the bottom there, and you might be wondering what that's about. Well, this level sort of explains it. So obviously, the longer you go, the lower your fuel gets, and you don't want to run out of fuel, obviously. Now, in some levels, it doesn't matter. Your fuel automatically refills when you complete a level and move on to another one, or when you die as well. So you want to be, it's not a big deal in that case, but in some levels like this one, doing all the necessary fares to get out of the level is impossible on a single tank of fuel. So you have, in levels where that's the case, you'll see those F platforms, and your ultimate goal is to, you want to min-max this, so you want to obviously complete as many fares as you can with the fuel that you've got, but then, oh god, flaming death. So yeah. You die in a rather horrific way when you don't land properly in this game. It's kind of dark when you think about it. But what you want to do is, when you want to min-max this, so you want to try to get as many fares done as possible with the fuel that you have, and then when it gets low, you got to swing in there and fill yourself up. So I'm going to show you how that works here. Obviously, if you do that while a fare is waiting, you're going to lose score, but you have to balance that because it's necessary. Now, if I can do some of this, as you can see in the time in between fares when nothing is ticking. There we go. So you see I just filled myself up there by landing on that. You don't actually have to pick up the fuel can. You just have to land next to it and it will fill you up. You also want to try to, and I kind of haven't been doing this here, but ultimately what you want to do is you want to also, if you're really playing this for the biggest scores, you want to try to not only get to the platforms quickly, but you want to land on them as quickly as you can, or land on them as close to your fares as possible, because as you can see, the fares don't exactly sprint to your cab. And, oh god, pad 9, this is a fun one. The fares don't exactly sprint to your taxi, so you want to try to minimize the amount they have to walk as well, because, of course, them being a slow walker doesn't affect the fare in any way. That fare is going to tick down at the same speed, so if you land right beside them, they have to walk less, and therefore your score will be higher. This game actually has real potential for speedrunning, which I think would be really interesting. I don't know if anyone's ever actually tried to speedrun this game. I should look it up, because that would be pretty fascinating. So you see here that this level, this is not the last level in the beginner shift, but you see this one's going on for quite some time. And that's why we have the fuel platform here. So I'm going to lose some of the money from this fare because I have to land here. So this is how you have to... And you see, you can choose how long to stay here. I don't have to sit here until it fills up. I can leave earlier if I want. And you'll also see that you have to pay for that fuel. So you might have seen there on the left side that it was taking away from my total accumulated fare, which ergo affects your high score. So that's what I really like about this game. It looks... Oh, God, no. It looks, from a technical perspective, even by C64 standards, it is pretty basic, but mechanically it's really deep. Like, the scoring system is really deep, the different, damn it, the different things that you have to manage are very deep, and you really have to think on your feet when you're playing this game if you want to do well at it, and I was doing so well, man. I really like that. This is a game that when you look at its core concept from gameplay, it looks very simple, but it's actually deceptively complicated. And you can choose to play it several different ways depending on how you want to do it. You could play this really... Really? Come on. You could play this really, really safe if you wanted to just have the goal of finishing all the levels. Let's see if we can get out of here. But if you want to do a score attack thing and really max that, then you have a different way you can go about it. You know, you can thread the needle when it comes to fuel if you want, or different things like that. It's a really interesting mix of different gameplay styles that this offers, which is one of the reasons I really like it. And this game still holds up really well. I don't know if anybody's ever done... yes, this is an interesting one. This is where, like, different landing pads grow out of a beanstalk, because this is how space works. We are a taxi in space, ergo, we have to accommodate the laws of space, and space has giant beanstalks. That acted like I hurt the guy. I don't know what happened there. I landed, he got out, but then it was like, "Arr!" Unless that's where the new fare was, which is entirely possible. You can run into your fares, by the by, and they will just bail on you if that's the case. Ah, jeez. Well, that's the end of me. I believe that was it, right? Yep. Congratulations, Cabby 1. Your score ranks you as one of the top 10 cabbies of all time, so there is a high score list here. It's kind of busted in this version, I think, but yeah, I'm not sure what's wrong with that there. This is a disk image that was cracked, so that's probably why. So let's show you a higher end level here. So these later levels, I think I did beat the beginner shift at one point when I was a kid, but I've never beaten these other ones. You can also do super long 24-hour shifts, which I believe take you through the entire foray of levels. So you can either do them in order or random order, which is just bonkers. But you know what? Let's just do random, and I'll show you some of the absolute berserk levels that are in this game. There's like lasers to dodge, and there's all kinds of other moving parts and stuff like that. That's a horrible looking color scheme. So this is called the Switch, which oh god! Ah! Everything's backwards! Oh geez, I've never played this level before! Oh, wow. Because I was like, this just looks like that apartment building level that we already did, but oh god. Yeah, that's devious. They totally reversed the controls, and I don't know! I don't do well with such things, as you can see. So, yeah. Alright, you know what? I'm just going to murder myself here and we'll try another one, because this is just going to be horrible. So you get the idea of just how insane this game can get. Like, this game gets hard, like rock hard. Which I like, though, because it gives you the option... to do things, you can play it simple if you want, or if you want to be a crazy person who's into super hardcore challenge, you have that freedom as well. And that's what I really like. This game was actually really good value for money. It had it was technically fairly simple, but it had a huge amount of content available. Let's try the expert night shift here. Oh yes, interference. So yeah, what this not only has a fuel can, but it's got these sort of radio tower things, and I believe, yeah, they cause your car to sort of randomly move on its own. So you may have seen it was sort of spazzing back and forth there. I wasn't doing that. That was the game actually doing that. So you have to deal with these environmental factors. And this is what was cool. It didn't just... Ah, jeez! That thing's mean, man. That's what's cool about this. It doesn't just give you really hard designed levels. It throws in all these random different elements like, you know, hey, we're going to reverse your controls. We're going to interfere with the way your car moves. We're going to do all these other things. It's not just, hey, here's levels with a bunch of really tight corridors. It's actual unique elements. You know what? Screw you. Let's bail on this and go back to medium. I'm not doing well at this. So it gets just absolutely nuts, and that's what I love about it. Simple to play, or simple to start with, incredibly hard to master. And you could say that about a lot of Muse software games, to be honest with you. And it's one of the things I really liked about them. They gave you a lot of content and a lot of challenge, and really good value for money. So this is still one of the better ones out there for that type of thing. Oh, here we go. Apparently we're playing in a dystopian war zone where there's cannons that demand that the residents will not... You will not leave the designated area! And if you do, we will shoot down your space taxi, yeah? Oh god. Well, this is... actually pretty brutal. At least they fire randomly and they're very slow-moving projectiles, so you can sort of see where they're coming from, but... people live in some harsh times in space, man. It's a brutal time, but you know what? The people must flow, and neither Warzone nor interference nor horrible dreamscape will stop the taxi from doing its appointed job. I think that's how that goes, right? So, yeah, you get the idea here. This is was still one of my favorite Commodore 64 games. It's just got so much depth to it, and something that you can spend a lot of time on. And honestly, if you manage to beat the higher levels of this, that's something you can chalk up to your gamer cred, because it is definitely this is definitely among one of the tougher ones out there. And it's great for that. I really love it, and it allows you to play it different ways, and it's presented simply, but it's still a lot of fun. So, yeah, that is Space Taxi, developed by John F. Kuchar and published by Muse Software in 1984 for the Commodore 64. I don't know where if there is any way to get this in a modern context right now. Most Muse Software stuff that's out there has not been released on other platforms in a modern context. Oh, jeez, which is kind of a bummer, but I definitely recommend, if you can get your hands on this game, I definitely recommend it. It is a great deal of fun, and it'll keep you busy for a long time. My name is Parallax Abstraction. Thank you all very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That does help me out a great deal. And, well, I will see you guys at some point in the future. Keep ferrying out in that space. Take it easy, everybody.